Okay, Assalamu alaikum, we're here with Khayyam. Khayyam, what brought you here today to protest on London for Palestine?
Simply the fact that our Palestinian brothers and sisters are being bombed, lives are being lost, injustice is taking place, and they're being oppressed. And it's our duty as Muslims, wherever we are in the world, to stand up for them and to speak for them, which is the least we can do. And it also gives us time to reflect on the fact that we are very ungrateful for what we have, whereas people are, the shuhada over there, they've suffered a lot. So we need to stand up and we need to raise our voices for Palestine. And it's important that we stand up for injustices, because Allah will ask us about that on the Day of Judgment, about what we've done. As simple as that.
If you had a message for the Palestinians that are suffering at the moment, or are scared for their lives, or who don't know if they're going to wake up tomorrow, what would you say to them?
I would say exactly what Allah says in the Quran. فَاصْبِرْ صَبْرًا جَمِيلًا إِنَّهُ يَرَوْنَهُ بَعِيدًا وَنَرَاهُ قَرِيبًا. Allah says that have a gracious patience. Indeed, they see it as far, meaning the Day of Judgment, but Allah sees it as close. So on the Day of Judgment, when justice will be commanded by Allah, and inshallah you all go to paradise, you will truly reap the rewards of what you enjoyed in this life. That's what I would say. And we're always going to be with you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
Keep up the great work.
Do you guys? Assalamu alaikum. We're here with Fuzl Rahman. Fuzl, what brought you to the streets of London today?
Wallahi, you know what it is? The injustice that's happening in Gaza has brought me here. And I'm actually here for any sort of injustice. But what's happening in Gaza is inhuman. And the sad reality is, the reason I'm here is where our government is voting for the war to continue and our brothers and sisters to get slaughtered. But the sad reality is, it's not the brothers and sisters, it's our children that are getting slaughtered. And the world needs to wake up. I'm on social media myself, and how adults debate me to say that they need to die. Cleansing needs to happen. And it's a sad reality, my bro. You know what it is, I've lost my voice, I said so much. But everyone out there, it's not just today we stand for Palestine. Every single day, every single night, we need to stand for Palestine, because these children are ours. You know what the sad reality is? When a child dies, it's sad. But imagine the mother and father died and the child is sitting on the floor and wiping their blood. That's heartbreaking, bro. Heartbreaking. And we're standing here. Most of the brothers and sisters are enjoying. It's not enjoyment. It's a sad reality. Inshallah, we make this ceasefire happen and make dua and support the oppressed.
What message would you send to the Palestinians that are struggling right now to show solidarity from London?
To the Palestinians, I want you to tell you that I'm not the only brother. We've got millions of brothers in London that risk ourselves to put a word out for you. I pray to Allah that Allah makes you victorious, and Allah will give you peace, and you're the people of Jannah. You're people of Jannah. I wish I was there, but you're the people of Jannah. Please make dua for us, because you're the people of Jannah, and always in our duas, and we're doing qunut prayers regularly for you guys. So please forgive us for not doing our part correctly. We're trying our best to get a ceasefire out there. We're trying our best to get you food out there, and we're trying our best to get you medical aid there. We are here. You are always in our dua.
Ameen. Jazakallah. Thank you so much. So I'm here with Yahya today. Yahya, what brought you here today?
So, there's multiple reasons, but the first one is to stand up for humanity and for the injustice happening in Gaza at this present time. I'm also from Gaza. I have family there.
Oh, okay. Are they okay?
No, they're not okay. We lost a cousin 2 weeks ago, and it's still day by day. We're still waiting to hear from them. Last night, obviously, there was a blackout, so I messaged one of my uncles there. Still haven't heard back from him. One tick on WhatsApp, and that's the reality on the ground. But it's great to see so much support. But I think we also need to take some actual action. This support is good, and it shows the world that where the British people stand. But on top of that, I think it's so crucial that we speak to the government, send petitions, speak to our MPs, write letters to our MPs. One thing that the government always says when it comes to situations like this is the reason they are so reactive and biased. Yes, obviously there's their interest, but then there's also the fact that the Zionist groups are so good at constantly reaching out to their MPs and complaining and saying that they're not happy and making their voices loud and clear. We're really good at showing up to things like this.
Exactly.
But when it comes to the politics, we take a step back and we're not that, we don't understand the impact. We don't think it's that impactful because we don't have any faith. And I don't blame people. We don't have any faith in our politicians. But it's important, it is crucial that you write to your MP. Figure out who your MP is and write a letter. Your letter will make a difference because they need to respond to your letter.
Exactly, and I completely agree with Yahya. We need to be more organized as Muslims, not just organized in feelings, but organized in action as well. And Yahya, I've heard that there's no aid going to Gaza as well. What is the situation with the aid reaching Gaza?
It's very minimal. I think there's been like 40 trucks in total, maybe a little bit more, but it's very, very minimal. There's 2.3 million people in Gaza, and they're thirsty. Our own family are telling us we're thirsty, we're hungry, we don't have water. Any water that they get their hands on is not clean, and it's unhealthy. There's going to be a lot of diseases spreading, and it's a huge injustice. It's a huge injustice. It's extremely disgusting that the West can sit here and lecture Muslims or the Middle East or even the world about morals and principles. This is the biggest betrayal of morals and principles. And the final point that I'd like to make, many years ago, the Srebrenica genocide happened. 8,000 people were killed. The world was silent. They said never again. We are close to 8,000 people killed in Gaza. This is another massacre, another genocide. How many more do we need for the world to be like, that's enough?
Exactly.
And UN resolutions are barely doing anything.
Yeah.
We had a great one yesterday.
Yeah.
But they're still bombing Gaza. They're still attacking Gaza.
The question keeps coming back. How many people need to die for us to rediscover our humanity? And how many people and children need to die for international law to actually take effect and for the UN to actually be effective?
The answer? You want the real answer?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They don't care. They really don't care. Even if 1 million of the 2.3 million people were killed, they still wouldn't take action because they blindly support Israel. Because Israel is an extension to them, an extension of the West in the Middle East, in a place that doesn't belong. And
Exactly. The only democracy in the Middle East, right?
no democracy whatsoever.
And if you had a final message to your friends and family and the other people in Gaza as well, what would you say?
We're with you. We stand in solidarity with you. You have a right to resist. You have a right to exist. And we support you. We are 100% behind you. And at the end of the day, the most we can do by protests and political action and also making dua. We are praying for you. You have God. You have God.
Jazakallah. Thank you so much, Yahya. James? We're here with James today. James, what brings you onto the streets of London to protest here today?
Because there's a genocide happening in Gaza, and I'm here to protest the government's position,
Exactly.
which is complicity at the moment. It's complicity. They're giving Israel the green light to do what they want,
Exactly.
and Israel's response is genocidal. My family, my great-grandma came to this country because the Nazis tried to kill her and her family and exterminate them for being Jewish.
Exactly.
In Germany and in Poland, okay? And I'm told by her, we're so lucky nowadays that we live in an age of information. You know, we have access
Exactly.
to know the world's events. And she says if we had that back then, it wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
Okay, it's happening again.
Yeah.
It's happening again. A third of the people of the Holocaust, 2.3 million innocent people, stuck in a concentration camp.
Open air prison, yeah.
Yeah, the concentration camp is what we should call it. It's a concentration camp. They can't leave. They're being starved. Israel kills them as a cruel sport. Okay, it's a cruel sport.
Exactly.
And what Nelson Mandela says, our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinian people.
Exactly. I completely agree with James. In an age of information, we're only here today because of the power of social media, that we actually have the visibility. And what's been your thoughts so far since they've cut the electricity and communications as well? And now it's essentially a blackout, right? We don't know what's happening there.
It's tactical because this means that Israel don't want the world to see the crimes that they're doing because they're trying to win an information war.
Yeah.
You know, their whole campaign has been run off disinformation.
Yeah.
So they want the blackout, they want the phone networks off, they want people to have no communication with the outside world, so they die quietly. So they die in silence and in darkness. And we're here because they won't die in silence, okay? And there is hope.
Exactly, and I appreciate your sentiment around what was happening in Germany and Poland as well, because it's true. We can't let this happen again.
No,
we can't.
Have history. History is a teacher.
Exactly.
History is a teacher, and we should be not just intelligent enough. What are humans without our humanity?
Exactly.
What are humans without their humanity?
And a question that we keep asking ourselves now is how many children need to die before we discover our humanity again? This shouldn't be happening. Children shouldn't have to die in this act of war. Absolutely not.
No.
Well, thanks a lot, James. I really appreciate that. That was a beautiful message. Assalamu alaikum. We're with Gibran today in the London protest for Palestine. Gibran, what does this protest mean to you that so many people have come out to London to speak their voice?
Growing up in school, when I'd be sitting in my history lesson and I'd learn about our violent past, genocides, wars, war crimes, and we'd always sit in the classroom as kids and say, how did people let that happen? If I was alive in those days, it never would have happened, because obviously it's a travesty, there would be outcry. Well, guess what? All of those movies you watched as a kid are a lie. It's all a lie. Because now, we're in that dystopian future, we're in it. When there's that small force that are fighting up and they're oppressed, they're trying to fight a foe that they cannot defeat. That's the message in every movie you see. And now it's real life. Apparently that same message isn't applicable anymore.
So what can people do to actually make a difference?
I don't know anymore, bro. I've been protesting. I protested in 2018. I'm protesting again now. What more can we do? This is our human right to protest peacefully without violence. And that's what we're doing. Even though there's some people that try to antagonize the crowd and make us look like animals, but we're being peaceful. Whilst they turn off the electricity and the food and half of the people that are dead are kids, we're peaceful. What the fuck do we have to do next? This is our human right to peaceful protest without violence. What more do we have to do? We're walking the streets in our hundreds of thousands. We're crying, we're begging. What the fuck is going on? Who makes the decisions?
Exactly.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
If you could give a message to the Palestinian people who are watching this right now, what would you say?
We will never let you die! We will never let you die!
That's the message. I don't even need to speak.
The people have spoken.
They're speaking for me. So look, you gotta think of it like this, yeah? There's kids. So I heard that there's a game. There's a game that the kids in Palestine play. It's called Carry the Martyr. The children play a game called Carry the Martyr. Could you imagine it? The last time I can equate a game to that was Ring a Rosies. And that was about the plague. Do you see the resemblance? Do you see the symmetry? It's kids dying. Why is it every time they bomb a building, we don't see anyone with a gun or a bomb? Where are all of this Hamas that you're killing? All of this Hamas that you're killing look like they're under 12 years old, or they look like women. What the fuck is going on? You're killing animals. All of our pets are dying. You're killing our children. All of our babies are dying. You're killing our men. All of our fathers are dying. You're killing our women. You're killing our mothers. You're killing Palestine. What do we have to do? Help us, please.
Do you feel like it's any different to what's happened before?
So the movement is just a movement of solidarity. Unfortunately, our heart bleeds. We wish we could do more. This is the very little, smallest thing that we can do for them. We pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty helper, come to the assistance of our brothers and sisters in Palestine, inshallah.
I mean, all right, so what brought you here today? What's brought you onto the streets to march for the people of Gaza?
So in Palestine, one of the things they say is presence is resistance. So Our presence here today shows our government that we resist their decisions, we resist their support aiding and abetting of a terrorist state in the form of Israel. We resist their decisions to allow innocent civilians to continue to be killed. We resist their decision to not call for a ceasefire. So our presence here today is a resistance to our government and to let them know we will not stand quiet, we will not stay quiet, and we will continue to raise our voices and stand up for the innocent Palestinians.
We're here with a lady from Jamaica.
Well, I'm British, but my parents are Jamaican, yes.
Marvellous. What brings you out to the streets today?
We have the same problem, which is white supremacist oppression and occupation of another person's land yet again. And the world is standing by doing nothing whilst Israel, Zionist Israel, is allowed to commit mass genocide, and it's not right. And so I want to be on the right side of history, and that's why I'm marching for the people of Palestine, but also my own people as well, because we know what this feels like.
Exactly.
So we're sending love to you guys out there. We love you, we love you, we love you. We support you all over.
Thank you so much, appreciate that. A quick thing. One thing that interests me as well is a lot of people talk about the Gazans' casualties, but also my heart kind of goes out to the Israeli hostages too, because in a sense, imagine their point of view. They're living in a country, they've been abducted, and now they're being bombed by their own government. So it must be a surreal experience for them too. So yeah, we'll try and find out if anyone has any interesting thoughts on that. So what brought you to the streets today to protest for Gaza and what's happening in Palestine?
It's been happening for too long, so I just thought that I needed to come out and support. I've been coming out every single day, fundraising, etc. So yeah.
And what has been your main source of news as well? Where have you been seeing the things that have been happening?
TikTok. So everything straight from Gaza. But now that there's no communication, it's a bit harder to see what's actually happening.
Exactly, yeah. It's scary that they've taken out the electricity now and there are no communications coming out. What would be a message that you would want to send to the Palestinians that are suffering at the moment, and also some of the Israeli hostages as well, right?
Just trust in Allah, everything will be fine, we'll get through this, Palestine will be free, inshallah.
Inshallah, thank you so much, appreciate that. So I'm here with Zainab today. Zainab, what brought you here to protest on London?
I'm in London because I genuinely believe that we need to fight for Palestinians while they don't have a voice and while they're being ruthlessly killed, and it's really important that we all stand together and promote peace.
And that's a great message, and I think that's the shared message here. Regarding the news on what's happening in Palestine, what was your primary source as well?
My primary sources are Instagram, just because there's just a lot of Palestinian creators that I follow, and just my first initial thoughts were it's just completely misconstrued in the media. There's been so many falsities and lies being spread about the Palestinian people and the fact that it's equal powers at war, when actually there is an occupier and an occupied, and you can clearly see that they're just killing children. They're attacking more than 50% of the public in Palestine is children. They're just, it doesn't make sense.
Exactly, and I think this is a common theme that's there as well, is that these children didn't choose to be part of this war. These children are just the victims of a war. And if you could send a message to all the people that are watching this now from either Palestine or all around the world, what would you say to them?
To the people of Palestine, your iman and bravery, it's so emotional because they die every day, and I think they think that we've forgotten about them, but we're not. And I just feel for everyone else in the West, just look in your heart. You don't have to be a Muslim, and you don't have to care about the religious part of it, but just think in their position, what would you do? You have children at home, you have the luxury of waking up, and just see it as it's for humanity. This is our last chance to help them, and I just really hope that people can find it in themselves to just protect children.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, children shouldn't have to suffer, especially in this type of war. Thank you so much, I really appreciate that. Assalamu alaikum, I'm here with Keeks today. Keeks, what brought you to protest on the streets of London today?
The fact that we're watching a genocide happening before our eyes, the fact that Rishi Sunak is pulling us into this war, the fact that we didn't even vote for him and he's pulling us into a war from basically an illegitimate prime minister, the fact that his father-in-law has business in Israel, and the fact that his father-in-law's business this year alone has made 19 billion, and and he's working with a soldier from Unit 8200, which works on cyberware and military defense and I just don't think it's fair that he's dragging us into a war that he's gaining finances from when none of us actually agree with this war and none of us actually agree with genocide.
Exactly, and another question I have as well is there's been a lot of misinformation going around, right? And a lot of
100%.
representation of what's actually happening on the ground.
Misrepresentation.
Misrepresentation too. What would you say is your primary source of getting actual news as well?
Social media, let's be honest, the news isn't giving us what we need to know. The news is very, very biased. You can't trust the BBC, you can't trust CNN, you can't trust Sky News. All the information you get is from social media, and that's the blessing of today. This has been going on for years, but people are only opening their eyes now because they're seeing what's going on in front of their eyes on social media. And it's time for everyone to wake up and take a stand and not allow this to go on any further. 75 years is too long.
Exactly, it's far too long. I mean, how many deaths need to happen? How many children need to die before we figure out what humanity actually
Why
is?
are we like fighting for children's? Like, why do we have to use dead kids as like a stance to stop the genocide? Like, we shouldn't even have to talk about the kids. But the fact that that is what we have to use to make people, have a little bit of humanity is just ridiculous. It's insane.
And if you had a message to all the Palestinians that are suffering out there right now, or might be watching this, what would you say to them?
We stand with you. We pray for you every day. Our hearts grieve for you. We pray for you guys that that you die as martyrs. We pray that you get the highest ranks of Jannah, inshallah. And you're not alone in this. We grieve with you and we feel with you.
Jazakallah. Thank you so much, Keeks. So far we've been here for, I'd say, an hour and a half. The themes so far have been everyone's here for solidarity. Everyone feels the pain. A lot of people have seen the clips and the videos on social media, and they feel like they have to do something. And at minimum, they feel like coming to a march on a weekend, taking the time out to do that, is sufficient enough for them, and they feel like they're doing something. But another theme is that there's a lot of call for people to reach out to the MPs, people to talk about what's happening, people to speak up for justice as well. And it doesn't need to be said, but one Israeli life should not equate to hundreds or even thousands of Palestinians, especially children as well. So we'll continue to be here for a few more hours. We'll try and get some more views, and we'll share it with you as we get it. Thank you so much.
My name's Glenn.
Glenn. So I'm here with Glenn today. Glenn, what brings you out to protest on the streets of London today?
I felt I had to. It could not be avoided. These kinds of things cannot be allowed to go unchecked. But as I stand, this is the third week in a row for me, and as I stand here waiting and walking, and it suddenly came to me that the one person that I'm benefiting above all is me, merely by occupying a little salve to my own conscience. And unless we can organise locally, so for example my MP is Wes Streeting, unless we can organise locally and say to him, unless you do something and do it now, we will not forget, and when it comes time for you to pay, we will make you pay.
Exactly.
And until we can do that at a local level and point the finger at our own MPs and councillors, they're quite free to ignore even an expression of opinion like this.
Exactly. I think the one thing that shocked me is the government's meant to represent the people's interests, right? There were 300,000 people on the road last week, and yet still nothing changed.
Correct. And that's why we have to get down and dirty, get local, get organised, and say to the people involved, you do it now, or we will remember and you will pay.
Exactly.
Politically. It's very hard for them to get off. It's notoriously hard for them to get off the gravy train. We have to tell them we're going to give you a push.
Exactly. No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Glenn.
Cheers.
Love that. Oh yeah, you're right.
I'm fine.
Yeah? Would you like to send a message as well?
Yes, I absolutely would. What I want to say is...
Wait, let me ask you the question. Sorry, what's your name?
My name's Ag McKeith. Angela McKeith.
Angela. Can I call you Angela?
Yeah, feel free.
Hi, I'm with Angela. Angela, what message do you have for the Palestinians?
I just want to say that Arab lives are precious too, and I don't know how many thousand lives the Israelis think will make up for the 1,400 who were killed. But I think 5,000 ought to be enough, or 10,000. How many do they think? I think it's completely wrong that they don't negotiate, and I don't understand why it's not obvious to all the Israelis that if you keep the Palestinians in such horrible circumstances, their whole lives so circumscribed, what do they expect to happen?
Exactly.
What they should expect to happen is exactly what has happened, and I don't know why it hasn't happened a long time ago. This is my strongly
Thank you
held
so
opinion.
much. And just to add on that as well, the children that are dying in Palestine, this is, they weren't born, they were born into this. It was the conflict that they're born into. They didn't choose it. So how many lives does it take? The same question that Angela asked. What is the exchange rate for one Israeli life to a Palestinian life?
Exactly.
And why is it so high?
And why are we talking in those terms at all?
Exactly. Thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. So I'm here with Sanam and Hira. What brought you to the streets of London today to protest for Gaza?
For me, it's really about letting the Palestinians know that we're there, we're thinking of them. They often, we get people asking, why do you march? It won't lead to anything. We know that the politicians in the Western world have their own agenda.
Yeah.
That is one element of it, but the other element is really to show the Palestinians, those that are out there that are in dire situations, for them to know that the world is thinking about them. We're not turning away, and we care about them. And this is a humanitarian issue,
Exactly.
and it's not about the politics behind it as such.
Yeah, so it's more about the solidarity to show them that no matter, although they're suffering in such a small space in Gaza, the whole world is mourning for them. What about you, Hira?
Yeah, no, I pretty much the same things what my sister said. I think it's just showing the people of Palestine that we haven't forgotten about them. We haven't turned our backs. We see what the world is doing. We see what the Israeli government's doing, and we see what IDF are doing. And we totally see them through all their lies and like the media, that the stories that they're pushing out. We completely see past it, and we will not let them be forgotten about. We will not let them let it wash over us. We'll
Exactly.
continue using our voices to make sure that the people of Palestine are heard.
Exactly. And if there was a message to the Israeli hostages as well, because from my point of view, the Israeli hostages, they've been abducted, they're getting attacked by their own government, they must feel a large sense of abandonment in a sense. Is there any message that you would send to them as well?
It's a really difficult one, because often we're thinking about the Palestinians and we're marching with the Palestinians, and you make a really fair point. What about the hostages that are there in a dire situation? They didn't put themselves in that situation. The reality is they're probably feeling quite lonely.
Yeah.
But remember, the whole world is out there, is marching for you. It's marching for anyone that's held in captivity. It's marching for anyone that is oppressed. And that the least that I can do is raise my voice and join a march every weekend.
Exactly.
And people are doing that. People are all thinking about you.
Yeah, and I think obviously this march has multiple agendas, and I think one of them is standing up for humanitarian rights as well as international law. And it's not just in Gaza, this will be echoing across the world. Are there any final messages that you'd like to send to anyone in Palestine at the moment?
Just want to say, just please remain strong, and that please remember the world hasn't forgotten about you. We haven't turned our backs. You're in our thoughts. You're in our prayers. We're thinking about you every single day, every minute of every day. And we will continue to keep fighting until you have freedom. And at the end of the day, they say God is higher. Obviously they may feel like the Israeli governments, Western governments are above them, but at the end of the day, God, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and have faith and have patience, and they will all be dealt with. No.
That sounds very final.
Yeah, but it's true though. We will have,
Be on the right. You're on the right side of history.
Yeah.
When we are there, we hear you and we think about you. You're the first thing we think about and the last thing we think about every night.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sanam and Hira. Mohammed? I'm here with Mohammed today. Mohammed, what brought you to the streets of London to protest for Palestine today?
Basically, sadness, solidarity, and mostly the images that we're seeing are completely just heartbreaking. And it's these images in particular and the sadness that comes from it. And then I see all the political rallying behind everybody's rallying behind their flags and their organizations. The United Kingdom political classes all rallying behind the Zionist lobby, and us little people, we're not so organized, but we're there's a lot of us.
Exactly.
But we're disorganized majority, hence our voices aren't heard.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we're disorganized in how we operate, but we're unified in how we feel, right?
Yeah, we have a heart, and our heart is bleeding now for our brothers and sisters in Palestine and everywhere where they are persecuted, regardless of whether they're Muslims or not, or they're Christians. In Palestine, Christians are being slaughtered just as much as Muslims are being slaughtered.
Exactly. And it's crazy because the Israelis that were abducted, they're also being bombed as well, right? There is no care to make sure that, are they okay or not? Even the hostages are a target as well.
The hostages, I've not heard one report where there has been a hostage negotiation other than the Hamas militants basically giving the hostages. But they're not interested in hostages, they're only interested in land.
Exactly.
It's a land grab and it's quite obvious.
And if you had a message to the Palestinians as well, what would you like to say to them to show your solidarity here in London as well?
The message I have for my Palestinian brothers is make sabr, have patience, because the patience will overcome everything, and make dua. We are all with you, and we are making dua for you in Fajr, in Tahajjud, all over the world. And this is the test. It's a very, very hard, difficult test. And inshallah, we will overcome these zalim, these wrongdoers of what they are doing to us and our brothers and the children. They all become shaheed. Gaza.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. As you can see, and I'm sure we've all seen over the past couple of weeks, the sheer bombardment and the horrific scenes that we are seeing coming out from Gaza. One cannot remain silent or not feel moved emotionally and mentally. We came here to say that we stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Gaza. May Allah alleviate their hardship and difficulties, inshallah. And we want to let them know that they are not alone in this. The free-thinking world are making noise, and we are standing with them, inshallah.
Inshallah. What's been your primary source of getting your news?
Brother, to be honest with you, BBC, we all know, is very biased. They're showing snippets of certain parts and elements of this genocide and onslaught. But the main source of news is, and funny enough, strangely enough, is TikTok. We're getting a lot of raw coverage from TikTok, Instagram, and I think more mainstream is Al Jazeera. Guys, hit Al Jazeera. They're giving you more of a neutral coverage of the situation in Gaza. I mean, who cannot be moved over what we saw yesterday? It's like, subhanallah, it's like hell on earth. What are these people experiencing? And if anything, we should be worried. Why should we be worried? Them people, Allah has accepted them and they're in Jannah, inshallah. But for us, Lord, what did we do? And which side of history do we want to remain on?
Exactly. Because Allah will ask us, what did we do, right? What is our role in this as well?
Brother, we as Muslims, we care for all innocent lives. Any loss of life is horrific and is not accepted within our deen. What are we seeing here? It's a genocide. Indiscriminate killing. You cannot justify the killing of 7,000 people, more than 1.5 to 2,000 children,
exactly,
babies. Rishi Sunak, shame on you. Keir Starmer,
waste man.
Yes, from my nephew, mashallah. You cannot justify this. It's embarrassment to humanity.
And it also doesn't reflect how we feel as well. I mean, the government, they said the government's meant to represent the people, but how are they representing the 300,000 people that are here? They're not.
Of course they're not. Mashallah, last week we were here, we had about 400,000 to 500,000 people, and as you said, brother, there's about 300,000 people. This is the voice of the people of the country. You should take this into consideration. And you might represent something, but that surely is not the sentiment with the people of the UK.
Exactly. And if you could send a message to all the Palestinians that are suffering right now, a message to show that we have solidarity with them, what would you say?
بالروح بدم نفسك يا أقصى. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Ameen. And also, just another take as well, because people don't speak about this, but the hostages from Israel as well, what would you say to them? Because they're also people that have been abandoned by their country. Their country is still bombing them and they must feel alone, right?
Brother, this is absolutely a low blow to the Israeli IDF, their constituents, everybody. We saw how the hostages were being treated. That auntie who was released by Hamas, What did she say? She said that Hamas militants, if you want to call them militants, some people would say they're freedom fighters. We heard the terminology, one person's terrorist, another person's freedom fighter. And what she said was that we are people of Quran, we are Muslims, and this is a testament to their very faith that they are, they're not mistreating the hostages. Yes, they will be released and hopefully safe, and we want this for everybody. However, what they're doing in the process of this is just beyond belief. A'udhu billah. Right, you want to come to my nephew here, please?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. We're with Ilyas today. Ilyas, what brought you here to the streets today?
Basically, I'm just utterly flabbergasted that I pay my tax money. I've been working since a little kid. I've had 3 jobs. I've been paying my national insurance, and it was never ever to kill one child, let alone thousands, let alone 60-80% of a country. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know none of these people, but it's not in my name. I will never vote again, I'll tell you that now. I'll never vote Conservative, and I'll especially lifelong Labour member will never ever vote Labour again, ever. Because Labour was conceived in Bradford, which is my hometown, and Labour was conceived to stop child exploitation, because where the mills and the wool was made, little kids used to go in and get mangled in them machines on a daily basis, little 5-7-year-olds, and hence we had to do something against the rich people, the Conservatives of the time, and hence we invented the independent Labour Party. And now what are we doing? What is Labour doing? In that name, they're destroying children's lives, little kids that age. Do you know what I mean? They're not waking up. They're going to bed. They're getting a bedtime story. They're getting the last glass of water, and they're not waking up. Or they're waking up all grey, and they're waking up shaking from the trauma that these people are creating with my £1. It's absolutely diabolical. Vehemently needs vilifying. And if it were Adolf Hitler and the tables were turned, you'd be the first one going in, giving it, let's sort it out. Let's fly over now. You've sent over 2 ships. You sent over 5 ships. It's been there all week. You could have stopped all this annihilation. It's absolutely disgusting to say we're in 2023. You lot might as well be in 1883. You sadaks, all of you. Sorry.
So Ilyas, I'll give you a little break to breathe,
Yeah.
So you said you were in Gaza just recently, right?
Yeah.
What are the living situations of people in Gaza as a person who's been there?
Well, I wasn't in Gaza, I was in Jerusalem. You can't actually get in to see Gaza. You need a lot of permission. I went to Hebron, which is very, very bad. It's the children, the young boys there, they're all begging, but they're not begging like normal beggars here. They're begging out of desperation. They're begging because they have no elders to look up to. They're begging because they have no role models to show them a career, or show them any Islamic tariqah, or show them ABCs, or show them how to do the times table. They have no direction in life. All they have is crime, and the Israelis want that because they either get to shoot them or lock them away for life. It's absolutely diabolical, inherently inhumane, and it should be abolished. You shouldn't be vilifying human beings like this in this day and age. If Allah sent Farishtas down now, they'd be disgusted. If aliens come now, they'd be disgusted. If a new continent raised out of the sea and the people of Atlantis came along, they'd be disgusted, because not in the history of civilization have we shown this level of barbarism. I'm telling you straight. Sorry.
Exactly. And if you had a message to the Palestinian people right now that are suffering through this war, what would you say to them?
La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Ya muttaqin. We're with you, my brothers.
Jazakallah. Thank you so much, Ilyas. Appreciate it. Oh.